This ship is brilliant. I'm sure there are a number of reasons why that opening statement is wrong, but if we're talking from a purely personal point of view, I love this absolute gem of a ship. In case you didn't pick up on what I'm putting down, we're going to be going into this one with a hint of bias, and I can already tell you that I regret nothing about that. Well, almost nothing. This is the Krait Phantom. It's like a regular Krait MK2, but it looks better and arguably isn't as flexible. Looking at the outside, the main thrusters are mounted on a single horizontal strip at the rear, giving a Millennium Falcon or 1960s prototypical bomber vibes. And whilst you could argue that the Mk2 has more presence in its looks, the Krait Phantom just overall looks that little bit more polished. Most pilots will tell you that in a money-no-object galaxy, there's only one reason to buy a Phantom, for its exploration ability. Given that its potential range can just about exceed the Asp Explorer, and it doesn't feel like an anaconda to fly. Of course we have the elephant in the room, the Mandalay. And don't get me wrong, the Mandalay can go significantly further on a single jump, but it's not all about raw jump range, although it certainly helps if you're heading out into the black. But if I'm going to sit in the same cockpit for several weeks, I'd rather sit somewhere a little bit more spacious, with that spacious setting being in a ship that can still go the distance and handle reasonably well both inside and outside of supercruise. And to cover all of those in its entirety, I don't think you can ask for a better ship. The inside has a decent amount of space and it's decked out in this lush red trim. You do lose some co-pilot seats compared to the Mark II, but you still have one spare seat. But for exploration purposes, as I've argued before, that's arguably one spare seat too many, because if you take a friend out for a long trip, space banners could set in and suddenly you end up finding your power plant sabotaged and your ship in pieces, all over that argument about who ate the last Rolo from the ship's stores. Who would you give your last Rolo to? Call me selfish, but on a long voyage it's mine. All mine, and what's more, I'll fight you for it. But we'll get onto exploration properly in a little bit. Faulcon DeLacy rightly or wrongly call this ship a multi-purpose ship, and the easiest way to test this is to do a few jobs for our fearsome yet benevolent and wise leader. But there's a problem with this. I don't want to outfit this ship for anything that isn't exploration. I've invested far too much time and effort into making it a ship that just works for me when I'm out in the black. All problems though have a solution, and in this case it's a simple one. I just bought a second Krait Phantom and had a crack at making this a passable all-rounder to compete with whatever jobs need doing. Arguably the Krait MK2 would be better at this sort of thing despite being slower than the Phantom. It's better armed and better armoured. Plus it has more room for cargo racks if transporting goods is on the agenda. But as I say, the Phantom is faster, so it has a better chance of getting you out of a tight spot when the odds are against you, assuming you still have some armour left and are able to get out of weapons range of your foe. If money is tight, the Phantom does cost around 8 million fewer credits, although it's worth mentioning that 8 million is fairly easy to get hold of when flying a suitably equipped Viper. Hell, it's fairly easy in a Sidewinder with the right outfitting. But that aside, how does the Phantom perform as a multi-role ship? And I think well enough is the simple answer. It'll take things like ship scanning and megaship scanning in its stride, but to be honest, what ship wouldn't? And looting data from planetary settlements is doable, but that's more of a reflection of personal weapons and armour than it is on a ship. Since all the ship has to do is drop you off in a rough vicinity, and that's hardly a difficult test. But for things a little trickier, stealing escape pods from a rival power or simply just removing agents of a rival power from existence, Phantom hasn't really given me any trouble with this at all. I did put a couple of plasma accelerators into the large hardpoints, which in some respects was a little bit foolish as I'm more accurate with rails than I am with PAs, but I managed to make a little dent in the forces of lesser powers. That being said, the Mark II has better potential for armour and shields, so it would have better longevity, and be able to dispatch its targets quicker thanks to its extra hardpoint and fighter bay over the Phantom. FYI, in case you are wondering, the Phantom can't equip a fighter bay. Faulcon DeLacy stuck to the mantra of making the Phantom a lightweight version of the Krait and therefore didn't add the ancillary equipment to make a fighter bay possible. Cargo running is fine too, again, not the largest capacity in the world, but it's more than enough for power play objectives due to its range. It's also had a lot of success for quick rare goods trading. No complaints here. Mining is a similar story as the 4 hardpoints are capable of equipping any mining tool you want, and the range means you can hop just that little bit further outside the bubble to tap into those resources that have otherwise been left alone. So as a multi-purpose ship, it's alright. It's arguably not what it was actually designed for. Just because it can do everything doesn't mean it should be used for everything. This ship is an exploration ship through and through. It boasts excellent range, with a theoretical fully stripped down build giving it range of in excess of 75 light years per jump. Mine hovers at around 60 light years per jump, but that's with a dual SRV bay, a few cargo racks, a small shield to absorb those bumps from a rough landing, and a full-size fuel tank. You can also equip a size 6 fuel scoop, which means you can top up in the time it takes to do a loop around the star and honk the system. You don't even have time to get a beer in the process, which, to be fair, my liver probably thanks me for. Is it perfect for exploration? Nearly. Equipping an SCO capable frameshift drive does add a little more to the range, but bear in mind this is an older design of ship. The performance when actually overdriving your frameshift is worrying at best and downright dangerous at worst. Even boosting a small distance, say 5,000 light seconds, can cause the ship to overheat, throw itself all over the place and get through fuel at an astonishing rate. Rumour has it that a Phantom under SCO can empty a fuel tank in less time than it does for a diarrhea-stricken individual to realise it wasn't just a fart they let out and it wasn't totally safe. But that aside, it is good. It's very good in fact. As mentioned, the potential range beats out the Aspects and the DBX2, and unlike the Anaconda, handling in Supercruise doesn't feel like a chore. It's got enough slots for a full-size FSD booster, and all of the other things you might want like an SRV hangar and a planetary scanner. It can scoop fuel quickly, and it's small enough to find a quick landing site on most planets. Whilst the Phantom does do away with the coffee machine and the cookies of the Krait MK2, all is not lost for onboard entertainment either. The Phantom comes equipped as standard with a Rubik's Cube, and whilst there are plenty of people out there that can complete one of those blindfolded, I can imagine that plenty of pilots will be swearing at it at some point around the 1,000 light year mark in a trip, while figuring out how to complete it. The Mandalay, again, is obviously the elephant in the room. It goes further, handles infinitely better under SCO, and is pretty well equipped for exploration. But that makes sense as it's also significantly newer. One thing though the Phantom has over the Mandalay is the interior. It's significantly roomier than its Zorg & Peterson counterpart, really giving you a bit more room to stretch your legs on a trip. Or at least it would if getting up and wandering around the ship was an option. The Phantom does also have more space for those optional extras in the way of internal compartments, but you're unlikely to fill those if you're going for a lightweight build. So to sum up, is it one of the best exploration ships out there? Hell yes. Is it the best of the best? It depends what you're after. If you're after something with range and capacity, then you might want to look at the Anaconda. If you want something that's excellent for exploration and a bit more nimble with excellent performance in SCO, then you probably want a Mandalay. And if you want to cover big distance in a small ship, you can't go wrong with a DBX. But the Phantom is an excellent all-rounder for exploration. It has the range, doesn't handle like a supertanker, and it has decent internal capacity. I just wish there was a module that could be equipped to smooth out SCO performance in all the ship designs, rather than just letting the recent batch of ships have all the fun. If you're after a Phantom as an all-rounder, there are better alternatives, but at the end of the day, the Phantom will still serve you well for multi-role flying. But this ship is all mine, and it will keep getting small improvements as the years march on to iron out every minor issue with it. Because at the end of the day, you don't choose your exploration ship. The ship chooses you to build it, maintain it, and keep it safe from those who would otherwise see you as an easy target, and from accidentally smashing it into a planet. So that's the Phantom. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will catch you on the next ship review, and maybe a couple of other videos that I've got in the works as well. Until then, take care, much love, and 07. Thank you.